Good morning. The political landscape in the United States is shifting once again. After U.S. President Trump's election victory in November 2024, the U.S. Democrats found themselves in a state of shock. However, with President Trump's recent crumbling approval ratings, movement is now stirring among potential candidates for the next presidential election. Among those considering a comeback is Kamala Harris. For a long time, it was quiet around the Democrat after her electoral defeat against President Donald Trump in November 2024. Some months ago, her book, titled 107 Days, was released, recounting the short and intensive period of her presidential candidacy. This was followed by a book tour through numerous cities across the United States. And now, she has made a notable appearance at the annual conference of the National Action Network in New York, one of the most important African-American civil rights organizations founded by Al Sharpton, who has been a vital voice for African Americans within the Democratic Party for decades. In her book, which was published on September 23, 2025, Harris attributes her failure to advisors of former President Biden and the White House itself. Democratic politicians who are eyeing a presidential candidacy and seeking the African American vote followed Reverend Al Sharpton's invitation to New York. And it was there that Sharpton directly asked the first African American vice president, without hesitation, if she intended to enter the race for the White House once more. Her answer was met with standing ovations from the audience's put. "Yes, that could be. I am thinking about it," Harris stated. She immediately followed up with her reasoning, saying, "I served 4 years in the White House, just a heartbeat away from the presidency of the United States." Her appearance in New York was not the first time Kamala Harris had spoken about a possible comeback. As early as October, she told the British Broadcasting Corporation in an interview that she expected a woman to become president of the United States in the coming years, and that it could possibly be her. However, her recent speech before an African American audience sounded almost like an application speech. She declared, "I spent countless hours in my office in the West Wing, just a few steps from the Oval Office, and countless hours in the Situation Room. I know what this job is about and what it requires." Other potential Democratic presidential candidates also presented themselves at the Civil Rights Leaders Annual Conference in New York, including former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg and the governors of Pennsylvania and Kentucky, Josh Shapiro and Andy Beshear. They, however, expressed themselves much more reservedly than Kamala Harris. Despite her declaration, a renewed candidacy of the former vice president is not a guaranteed success within the Democratic Party. Harris is considered part of the party establishment. The former Attorney General of California is regarded as a brilliant jurist. However, she is perceived to lack charisma, and her public appearances often seem scripted. Furthermore, many Americans still criticize her for failing in her 4 years as vice president to curb the influx of illegal immigrants from Central America. In contrast, President Donald Trump, after his re-entry into the White House, reportedly ensured within a few weeks that almost no one crossed the southern border. The political arena continues to evolve, with critical issues like the cost of living also heavily influencing the upcoming midterm elections. What's your take on Kamala Harris considers presidential run as Trump's polls drop? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.